All right, well, welcome back. It is Monday, April the 7th. And when we finished the video last, I told you I was going to give you a weather report when we came back. We ended up with about 3 inches of rain. Almost all of it was on Saturday. We managed to avoid the severe weather with the tornadoes and the hail and any kind of wind damage. So I feel very thankful and very blessed that happened. Unfortunately, a lot of people got a lot of bad weather all across the US, and so they're going to remember that first week of April in 2025 for a long time, unfortunately. So I feel for those people. As far as the transplants go, we didn't hardly have any loss whatsoever. We walked the fields this morning and replanted a few, but it was not much. So everything looks pretty good. We got a great week of weather coming up. It's too wet to do much tractor work, probably for at least another day. But hopefully after that we can start doing some things. Got lots to do this week. We started today staking the tomatoes, putting in all the stakes on the first round, so we can do that. It's dry enough to do that, to get the truck in there and let the guys get in there and start doing that. It's a little cold. Like, cool weather was behind all that bad weather all across the country. So it was in the 40s this morning and probably around lower 60s right now, which is cool. We got a north breeze. It's going to gradually warm up back to normal to the 80s here in another day or two. We got one more morning probably of maybe mid to lower 40s in the morning, and then we'll be back to normal. Tomatoes look pretty good considering all that rain a couple of days ago, and they really don't have too much shock factor from the transplanting like they normally do. Either they're not going to do it or it hadn't started yet, but it's been probably 6 days, so I would think it certainly would have showed up by now, so not complaining about that. All right, the guys have gone to get some more stakes to put in the truck. We go, every other plant gets a stake, and we'll do the Florida weave system when we get ready to tie them. So 2 plants, stake, 2 plants, stake. All of the stakes we use for the tomato stakes, peppers, cucumbers, eggplant, any stake is going to be metal. We don't use any type of wood stakes. Many years ago when I started, I bought a whole bunch of wood stakes. The problem with the wood stakes, well, there's several problems. First of all, if you get a top heavy tomato plant, a lot of them will be above the top of these stakes. You know, they're determinate plants, but they'll get up this high or more. Well, when you got a lot of weight up here with a lot of fruit, and you get a tall plant, and you get a crosswind, a storm, you'll have sections that'll fall over. It's not because the string broke, it's because the stakes gave way and fell over. So since I switched to metal stakes probably over 20 years ago, I have not had one single time where the tomato plants or any kind of plants have fallen over and gave way because of the stakes. So it's more cost up front, but I mean, I haven't had to buy tomato stakes in over 20 years. Also, when you're pulling up those wood stakes, you'll break pieces off sometimes Well, your wood stake gets a little bit shorter and a little bit shorter every year, and before you know it, you got a half a stake and you don't know what to do with it. Use it for something else or throw it away. So it's been a good decision to do that because I don't have to worry about it, and everything's strong and sturdy. This is a sucker rod. It's smooth, comes out of the oil field, and then this is just rebar. I think it's 3/8. That may be 1/2 inch right here. You'll notice there's a T-post right here also. We put one maybe every 100 feet, but when we're tying, we're going all the way down, and then we'll turn around at the middle hose and come back and then do the same thing on the other side of that middle hose going that way. But the T-post just gives us a little bit extra support. I don't know that it's necessary, but we do it just in case. So we probably, 8 or 10 T-posts in a 1,000-foot row. Some glimpse at the cantaloupes. When you see all that devastation on the news and you see people's house flooded, everybody can relate to that. Like, what would that be like if that happened to my house? Or, people can relate to that. But other than that, I always think about the farmers in those areas, depending on the time of the year it is and how they're going to be flooded out, and if they're along a river that floods for a month, well, that throws their whole crop plans out of whack. So I tend to think about those guys a lot in those areas that happens to. Fast forward to the next morning. It's Tuesday morning, and it's time for me to go spray the peaches. And while I'm doing that, the guys are going to finish up the tomato stakes. Then we're going to plant the first bell pepper, get them staked, and we'll plant the eggplant, get them staked. This will be my first insecticide application on the peaches along with fungicide. I have already put one fungicide, but this is the first time we've got an insecticide and fungicide together. I hopped down a minute out of the tractor to show you these little peaches. different stages. That's probably about as big as they are. We still have some in like this. There's some more right here. Still have a few in flower stage, but most of them are past that. It's very important that we get the insecticide and fungicide on from the very beginning. So many diseases and insects affect peaches, and you don't want to wait too late until you start protecting them. The fungicide is always kind of like a preventative protection. You got to keep it on there. Sometimes the more it rains, you may have to shorten your intervals a little bit. I like to keep it about 10 days. Sometimes you can go to 7. But the insecticides are also just as important, because our climate here, you know, we're in the deep south. Insects are just horrible if you did nothing on anything you grow. So you have to put out something to, you know, keep your fruit looking nice and clean and pretty when it gets time to harvest. This older tractor that I'm in is pretty loud, so I can't hardly film and talk while I'm driving. I don't feel like you can hear me. We do always spray on both sides of the tree, if you've never seen me spray before. So we go down one side, turn around, come back on the other side of the tree. That way it gets good coverage on both sides of the tree. Also, the grass middles, you know, allows us to get in here pretty soon after a rain, whether we're spraying or harvesting or whatever. You know, I mentioned yesterday that it was probably too wet for tractor work until maybe tomorrow in the fields, but we can get in here today on these grass middles and not be a problem at all. We're probably going to start thinning the fruit probably next week, I hope. That's a slow process, but it's something that has to be done, and we'll show you that process when it gets time. Okay, I'm back in the plastic field now. Just to go over this one more time, when these stakes are not in the ground, they're about 5 foot tall. About 2/3 of what we have is rebar. The other third is sucker rod. They both work the same. I think I got both of these in 20-foot joints, and then we cut them up into 5-foot pieces. On the peppers, we've gone to using these T-post pieces. They're about half as tall as these stakes. Remember when I said that we had a bunch of wood stakes that get shorter and shorter, and you end up with a half a stake? For a long time, we used those half a stakes for the peppers. A few years ago, we switched over, had a bunch of T-posts stacked up, so we just used them because it's something that I already had. I think even up until maybe even last year, we still had a few wood pepper stakes left, but we've thrown all that away, and we'll go to 100% metal on the peppers now. This is the eggplant, 18 inches apart. And we'll come back and stake them just like we do the tomatoes with the tall stakes, every other plant. Eggplant gets big. It gets as tall or taller than the tomatoes, so we need a tall stake. Otherwise they would definitely fall over with all the weight of those eggplant on there. Let me show you about the bell pepper stakes. Guys got busy doing something else, so they haven't gotten around to staking them yet. It may be tomorrow. Okay, we plant them on a double drill. We do 18 inches, but we alternate them. So it's 18 from here to there, 18 from here to there, and then the drip tape is in between. The stakes will go, let's just start here on the end. There's not a lot of weight on them. We just want to hold them upright. So we can skip down to maybe 5 plants and put a stake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll come back and show you after they do it. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So we'll have 2 rows of stakes and 2 rows of plants. Of course, we'll tie them separately. Usually just about 2 strings. A lot of people get by without even tying their peppers, but I like to tie them just because you don't ever have to worry about them falling over. So these pepper stakes are perfect size, and like I said, we can spread them out so we don't have to use as many as we do on the tomato stakes. So these stakes, whether you're using the pepper stakes or the tomato stakes, I mean, unless I lose them, which I'm not going to lose them, they'll be around as long as I'm farming. They last forever. So it just makes it nice, and that pretty much sums it up right there why I quit using the wood stakes. So thank y'all for watching, and we're probably gonna wrap it up here. We'll get into something else on the next video. If you had not subscribed to us yet, I would really appreciate it. That'd be great. So if you don't mind doing that, thanks. And until then, we will see y'all next time.